Why do you work so hard yet feel like you're getting poorer? Why is technology advancing so rapidly, yet your free time is shrinking every day? Why does society constantly encourage us to consume, but never teaches us how to truly build wealth? To understand this, let's look at an eccentric professor from 300 years ago. Adam Smith saw it all quite clearly. In 1776, he wrote The Wealth of Nations, back when there was no internet and no smartphones. No live streaming or e-commerce, yet he accurately predicted your endless scrolling today and modern e-commerce algorithm. Even more terrifying, he precisely mapped out our current struggle for survival. As early as the Industrial Revolution, he warned that a blind pursuit of efficiency would cost humanity more than war. A painful price to pay. He recognized how specialization drives efficiency, but history has hidden the rest of the story. Division of labor also makes us dull. It drains the meaning from our work. Today we'll strip away the economic labels stuck onto him by textbook to reveal the real Adam Smith. He wasn't just a spokesperson for capitalists. He was the first prophet to see through the flaws of capitalism. If you are tired of, treated like a cog in an economic machine, this video today might help you hit the pause button. Let's go back to 1776 to recover the wealth secrets for ordinary people. Adam Smith. To put it nicely, he was a genius. To put it bluntly, he was a chronic social recluse. Born in Scotland in 1723, he had a very odd habit. He would often talk to himself while deep in thought. Once, while wandering his yard in a dressing gown, lost in economic theories, he just kept walking until he fell into a tannery pit, covered in animal fat. He had to be rescued by workers, even for a man who seemed a bit eccentric. He published The Wealth of Nations at 53. But there is a key detail textbooks often ignore. When Smith wrote this book, the American Revolutionary War had begun. Think about 1776. The 13 North American colonies were battling the British Empire. Yet Smith boldly predicted in his book that America would succeed and become a stronger economy than Britain. When the British elites read that, they must have been furious. We are crushing a rebellion, and you say the rebels will become better than us. His foresight was simply extraordinary. Even more extraordinary, Smith proposed an idea that, at the time, seemed completely counterintuitive. A nation's wealth does not lie in how much gold it possesses, but in how many goods and services it can produce. That sounds obvious today. But in an era of mercantilism, it was as shocking as someone today saying Bitcoin has no real value. Now let's talk about that famous invisible hand. Your teachers told you. This described the perfect operation of market mechanisms. Wrong, absolutely wrong. If you read the original text of The Wealth of, Smith mentioned the invisible hand only 3 times, and the context of each was quite nuanced. The most classic instance was during a discussion on international trade. He stated, when the wealthy pursue their own self-interest, they are guided by an invisible hand. It drives them to promote an outcome that was never their original intention. The wording here suggests no hidden agenda. It is not about glorifying the capitalist. It is simply describing a brutal reality. To make money, these wealthy people are forced to produce what society needs and hire laborers to help. They inadvertently push society to progress. This is actually quite a pessimistic view. Think of today's tech giant. Algorithm engineer spend their day trying to make you scroll for minutes more. Their focus is strictly on KPIs and bonuses, but they objectively create entertainment content, supporting influencers and MCN agencies. Smith's core message: don't expect capitalists to have a conscience. Fortunately, their greedy nature is objectively useful to society. But this mechanism has a well-known flaw. Smith later warned in Moral Sentiments. Without moral constraints and the rule of law, this invisible hand could easily turn into an invisible fist, crushing the poor into the ground. The Wealth of Nations opens with a pin factory story. It became one of economics' most famous examples. Smith observed, if a single worker made a pin alone, they could make at most 20 a day. But if broken down into 18 distinct tasks, 10 workers collaborating together could produce 48 pins daily. Efficiency increased by 240 times. This discovery directly ignited the Industrial Revolution. Yet Smith pointed out 3 side effects. Excessive division of labor makes workers dull. He stated that if a person repeats simple tasks for a lifetime, they lose the chance to use their own intelligence. They often become stupid and ignorant. Isn't that just like today's assembly line workers or corporate employee trapped in the machine? Division depends on the size of the market. That is why big cities have more opportunities. Only a large market sustains specialization. The most terrifying point, division created a demand-driven business model. Factories produced so many products that they had to find ways to convince you that you need them. Following this logic, you will understand why modern algorithms desperately push products your way, why social media uses infinite scroll. 300 years ago, Smith predicted the birth of consumerism. Increased efficiency leads to oversupply. Merchants must then stimulate demand, trapping people in endless anxiety. Do you regret hearing this now? But that is just the appetizer. Smith had a very sobering observation. In wage negotiations, employers always have the upper hand. Why is that? Employers are fewer and easier to unite. Employers can hold out long. Workers must compromise to eat the next day. This sounds familiar today, doesn't it? But Smith did not side with the capitalists. He proposed a surprisingly progressive idea. High wages are actually a good thing because they encourage workers to work harder and ensures workers have money to spend to boost economic cycle. He even stated, generous labor compensation is the inevitable result of rising national wealth. It is a natural growth of national wealth. In other words, if workers' wages in a country remain stagnant, it suggests that the country's economy is in trouble. Even more profound, Smith foresaw the rise of the knowledge economy. He argued that wealth growth drives demand for education. Because specialization makes work repetitive, people will crave knowledge and entertainment more. Isn't that why paid knowledge platforms and short videos are so popular now? But Smith also warned of a danger. When capital gains far exceed labor income, it encourages speculation instead of hard work. Think about today's real estate and stock markets. Doesn't it feel like this old man is remotely monitoring our economy? Smith divided society into three classes. Landlords living off rent, capitalists living off profit, and workers living off wages. He discovered an interesting phenomenon. Landlords love social prosperity because rents will rise. Capitalists like to keep wages low, but they need workers to buy their products. Workers want higher wages, but fear losing their job. This triangular relationship still influences political decisions today. But Smith's most incisive point: the interests of capitalists and workers are never aligned, even though they need each other. Capitalists want as much profit as possible. Workers want the highest possible wages. This contradiction cannot be reconciled. So Smith proposed a solution: full competition. Only competition can prevent capitalists from reaping excessive profit, and only competition gives workers the chance to switch jobs. This idea directly influenced later antitrust laws. But Smith also understood capitalists will always try to avoid competition through monopolies, patents, or lobbying. He wrote, "People in the same trade rarely meet, even when they do. It is to conspire against the public." Looking at this today, those secret meetings between tech giants makes you wonder if history repeats itself. Having said that, you should have realized by now the wealth of nations isn't dry, but a deep social observation on human rights and wealth. But what we've covered is just the tip of the iceberg of his ideas. In the next part, I will reveal 3 shocking predictions. How Smith accurately predicted the fundamental logic of the 2008 financial crisis. Why he believed that if China had opened its trade in the 18th century, it might have become a superpower 200 years early. The most subversive point: Adam Smith was actually skeptical of capitalism. His greatest concern in his later years is unfolding right before our eyes. Why not take a guess in the comments? According to Smith's theory, will AI make ordinary people richer? Or leave your answer in the comments. In the next video, we will reveal the answer together.